Welcome to Inside the Force. I'm Greg Grunberg, a.k.a. Snap Wexley.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here, along with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
We are now entering the month of June, which brings a whole nother group of topics that we're going to get into this month, centered around, if you guys are following anything that's out there as far as social media with Star Wars, you might be coming across a lot of questions about the fandom right now and how much of the people talking about all the bad things about it as well as the good things. But either way, we do want to touch on that. There's all the shows that I'm seeing that are all the other Star Wars shows that I'm seeing, they're kind of talking about it as well. So we just want to lay it out there one time, and then we'll move on. But before all that happens, we will touch you up on some news going on right now. So, Case, what's happening?
Well, if you were not reading all the hate this past weekend, EA had their big hoopla, their big shindig.
E3.
EA is a part of it. E3 had their big convention. And so I was kind of out of town, but my phone was blowing up from all the Star Wars news that was releasing. So EA was there, and just when you thought maybe EA was about to just leave and stop making Star Wars games because you may be hating on their games. I mean, Battlefront 2, say what you will, seemed like it didn't perform as well. But sounds like they're releasing a game partnering with a company called Respawn that looks to be quite amazing. So we get word that a new game that should be coming out, looks like next winter, so winter of 2019, probably right around the time of Episode 9. It's called Star Wars, it was a Jedi Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
And this appears to be a campaign game, finally. Straight up, strictly campaign.
Does it? I guess it is.
There might be some online components. There might be. But they're advertising it as a narrative game.
Yeah.
So, to me, it feels a lot like kind of Force Unleashed kind of style. But the story basically is it's set not too long after Episode 3, and you are a new, I'm assuming new. It's a Padawan character, surviving Jedi Padawan that is on the run, kind of being hunted. And that's really all we have. There is a website. I should have already had that pulled up. Let me see what the website is actually called.
Yeah, and it's being created by Respawn.
Respawn, yeah.
Which is heavily known for Titanfall, which is a huge game.
Yeah.
So
if you go to EA, I mean, there's a long, I thought it was a shorter URL, but it's basically EA.com. You can go there and find it, but if you want the whole thing, it's EA.com/games/Star Wars/Jedi-Fallen-Order. So if you want to go to the website, all you can do right now is just sign up for more information. But here's the kind of the press release that they've done. So from Respawn Entertainment comes a brand new action-adventure game which tells an original Star Wars story around a surviving Padawan set shortly after the events of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The game will be releasing holiday 2019, and then you can sign up for for more information about the game. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, I can't remember where I saw it from the source. I'm sure it was just EA, I think, put it out there. They must have had a sizzle for the game while they were there, because there are pictures of the actors doing the motion capture lightsaber battles. And I'll try to find it as I'm talking, but
I didn't see any of that, yeah.
But I think, based off the tweet, that the idea was that one of the actors that was doing it was a kid, basically, and the way it seemed like was that was the main character. So you're probably playing, if it is definitely a Padawan, then you are playing as a younger character, younger Jedi type character. So some fans out there were trying to make connections, trying to guess on who this character could be, if it's someone that we've already kind of seen before. So Cinematic Captures was the one that released this tweet. So at BF Captures on Twitter. So they tweeted out, it seems like this is the motion capture actor for the Padawan protagonist in Fallen Order. Besides the mocap suit, we can already get a good idea of what he might look like. Because normally they animate these characters right after who is playing them.
Right.
We saw that with Battlefront 2, so I'll show this today if you all can't see it. But again, if you go to at BF Captures on Twitter, they tweeted this yesterday, so Saturday. Yeah, so there must have been some kind of little sizzle release there.
Oh.
So we have some pictures of them doing the... Wouldn't this be the coolest job ever?
Gosh, yes.
Just to act out Star Wars games,
Yes.
especially lightsaber battles. Like,
I
this
know.
looks epic.
Yeah.
So they're going off these pictures here. So there's
Is
definitely
that red?
That's definitely red. So
Yeah.
I would think there'd be some Inquisitor action
Yes.
in this game, which would be awesome. So you have some a battle here with a blue lightsaber character and a red lightsaber character, and the blue seems to be the main guy. But another person on Twitter at Chris or Miss basically says, even though it's 99.9% not going to be him, it looks like a young Kanan. It looks like Kanan, but it does look like this kid from the Clone Wars. And they have a screenshot of the character Petra
From
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Now, like you just said, I haven't gone back and rewatched any of these episodes really, so I vaguely remember this character.
I do remember that
Petro,
character, yeah.
Petro, Petro.
He was big. He was big in that Gathering one. That
Right.
episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of fans are saying. Like, maybe it's this kid, which it would make sense that they would make it somebody that we've already seen to kind of
Totally.
again connect and bridge gaps, all that kind of stuff. I'm really 50-50. It could be a brand new character for me. It could be a character like this that we've already seen before. That would be awesome. But the animation of this kid kind of looks like the kid from the motion capture picture. So I'm very excited.
Totally excited.
My hype for EA games is definitely renewed. Even what they released after, besides that, because they talked a lot about the Clone Wars additions to Battlefront 2. So, which it seems interesting, seems really cool. So they're basically adding a lot of Clone Wars era stuff, such as playable characters like Grievous, Obi-Wan, Anakin. Let me go through the list here. I think there was even Mace Windu, perhaps.
No,
I can't see.
I think it's
I can't remember.
Obi-Wan, Grievous,
Dooku, right?
and Anakin.
Okay, and so yeah, I mean, you got Louise. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. If it's anything like the Ewok DLC, I kind of played it once and that was it. I haven't done anything with the new Solo stuff, but I mean, Battlefront 2 is still a fun game.
But that's the thing too. Is the Ewok thing doesn't last?
That
right?
was limited.
Yes,
I don't know if it's still on or not. Honestly,
I don't think it is.
Okay,
but is the Solo thing? Is that limited?
I don't know.
See, I have a hard time figuring out. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't play it enough for one to really get into because I didn't even do the Ewok thing.
I played just getting one round.
But I'm hoping this is
cool.
permanent. Like I hope this
Hopefully.
is still part of the game, but I don't know.
I'm trying to read through here the press release if they talk any more about it. But it looks like they even might. I think they even talked about Battlefront 3. So.
Oh, wow.
Which to me doesn't make sense when you do sequels now, unless you change the story, I guess, because you just keep doing DLCs.
I know, why not?
So why would you not? Why would you make it a brand new game? Again, unless it was a different story, which I'm sure they will do a different story. But I mean, EA still hanging in there because I thought I'd read reports earlier in the year that they were going to be out of the Star Wars games. That they're done, but
well, I think they obviously have the contract. I don't because
there's been some turnover with some staffing on the other game companies.
Well, because
they were working
Battlefront is EA straight up. Did they straight up do Battlefront, or somebody else did Battlefront? As far as like the engine,
another engine did it.
But see, I think they're just kind of outsourcing,
Yeah.
and what the creation of these games. So, I mean, Titanfall. I haven't played Titanfall, so I don't know if it's going to be kind of the same type of game. But anything lightsabers and campaign, I'm all for.
Good old Jedi fighting game. Come on.
Yeah. for those of you that plan on going to Celebration and didn't get tickets, unfortunately, you may have a hard time getting them now because they are selling out fast. Jedi Master tickets, which before they had Jedi Master and then Jedi Knight. Well, they got rid of the Knight and kind of combined it into Jedi Master. Anyway, those usually go immediately, and they went again immediately as soon as they went on sale on June 5th. Now, the 5-day, and this is 5 days, first time it's been 5 days. But for those of you that are more worried about the panels, the first day, which is Thursday, is not there. There are not any panels.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There aren't any panels.
It's a bounty hunter preview is what they're calling
it. It's a bounty hunter preview. So the vendor floor is going to be open, and you can buy a day pass, or if it's part of the 5-day, if you buy the 5-day pass, then you get early access on that day. And all it is, again, it's just the vendor floor. There's exclusive merchandise and stuff like that, but there's no panels. So, and I think there's still photo ops and autographs though, still that day, which is all on that main floor there. But the panels and all the exterior stuff that happens, that doesn't start till Friday, and it goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday now, which is different again. So you can get the 5-day pass. Well, now they're sold out. If you may be able to eBay them come March, but 5 days are gone. Saturday single days are gone.
That's crazy. I think adult and kids.
And the kids' 5-day is gone. Yes.
Jeez.
So if you follow Star Wars Celebration's Instagram and Twitter, they've been putting out when it's close. I don't know if anything else will sell out now up until the March, April. I'd be surprised if anything else really sells out more, but maybe Friday might sell out at some point. But I think right now you're kind of safe. But anyway, kudos to those that have gotten your tickets. Again, the unfortunate thing, I'll say this though, the unfortunate thing is that they actually let you buy in bulk. So I think, unfortunately, a lot of people probably bought bulks and plans on reselling them come March. So I will say that our strategy, the past few celebrations, we've bought them on eBay, and you can buy them cheaper than they do on release day.
You got to risk and wait.
You do got to risk
Pretty
waiting.
close.
You do, especially now too. The Saturdays are gone, so it's like. But again, that's why, unfortunately, like the Jedi Master ones, you were allowed to buy like 4 at each transaction. So people might have just got a bunch of them in the beginning and are going to resell them. But anyway, Celebration Chicago happening in April. I'm pretty sure we'll be there. So
Got a good feeling about this.
We'll see you there. Okay, so that's really all the news. Solo, still out there, probably on its last legs, unfortunately.
Yep.
If you don't see it the next week or two, you probably won't be able to see it in the theaters, so go out there and see it. I still see people on Twitter that are just now seeing it. We'll talk about a little bit of that here soon, but everybody I've kind of read that's seen it, they love it, and it's a great movie, so go see it. They've already announced the Blu-ray release, which I think is sometime in late August, I think is what I saw. More details will be coming out of that pretty soon, I'm sure. But I loved it.
Yeah, loved it.
Okay, so we'll get a little bit more into that because I want to touch. Okay, so let's talk about everything that's going on in the fandom real fast. Like I said, everybody out there, all the shows, all the other shows are kind of hitting on this a little bit. So we want to talk about it because I feel like Casey and I, we started the show over 5 years ago, right?
A little over, yeah.
Yeah, 2013. And I will, I think, I'm speaking for Casey as well, but it's like we're such lovers of Star Wars. I mean, complete passionate lovers of Star Wars. And for 5 years now, plus years, it's like I think we've talked about Star Wars so much that we thought let's do a show about it, right? And we continue to do the show just as if we were just sitting in here without talking to anybody else, right? I mean, I feel like we've always done that. I feel like we've always stressed the importance of Star Wars in our lives. We've always stressed, what makes Star Wars so good, not just to us, but to fans and the culture around the world. We don't, and I think intentionally, we don't try to get caught up in the politics of things and the social, social political things that are happening in our world. And Star Wars is a way to, in my mind, Star Wars is a way to get away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's escapism, man.
Right? It's unfortunate that you have groups out there, you have people out there that do let that kind of hate and whatever, racism, sexism, whatever it is, that bleeds into your enjoyment of something that's entertainment based. Yeah. Right? Because I mean, let's not be mistaken. Star Wars is not real. It's not real, right? I mean, it's a way to get into something else that's away from your normal life, and so I just wanted to say that first and foremost, that we look. There's definitely things that we don't like about Star Wars. There's definitely things that we don't agree with. There's definitely things that maybe we don't like the direction of this, the direction of that. But either way, it's Star Wars.
Right.
And the creators, no matter how you feel about them, they love Star Wars also. And it's a balance that you have to kind of accept in a way that, look, we, Casey and I, we're not in charge of making Star Wars. So if we were, there's definitely things that we would do and we would love to do. But you got to look at it the same way. Someone like Chuck Wendig, who's a writer, someone like Dave Filoni, who's an animator, somebody that, Leland, that's just sitting on the story group trying to make sure all this makes sense. I mean, they're creators that are living in that world and creating that world. It's like, I mean, in a sense, who are we to say you're doing it wrong? Because, I mean, you're a filmmaker in a way too. It's like you have things as a filmmaker, as a creator, as a creative. It's like you do things that you enjoy and you think it's a good. I mean, but the story that I want to tell, what makes you say that that's a wrong story? You know what I mean? Like, it's what I want to. What I think is good and what I want to create. So it's like, I could never, I mean, look, there's a ton of movies I've seen that are horrible, not Star Wars related. I mean, this is a positive podcast, so I'm not even going to say it, but it's like, there's bad movies out there. I get it. But who's to say I don't make a bad movie? You know what I mean? It's like, it happens, so it's like, there's no way you can please everybody. There's no way you can ever have everybody on your behind you saying this is the greatest thing ever and we want more of it. We don't live in that world. So the unfortunate thing we're seeing, though, is that a lot of people are harassing, I mean, literally harassing Star Wars creators, Star Wars actors, and producers, and people that are just part of trying to give us that thing that we love so much, and it's disheartening a little bit, and I'm not sure what to do about it besides continuing to do what we've been doing every week. I don't know what your thoughts before we get into a little more specific topics, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's just what Star Wars has created in some ways comes back to hurt it, to where it's such an important part of a lot of people's lives, and they have such nostalgia for it, which is great, and they connect to it on a very deep level, which is awesome. I mean, pretty much all of us do. But when you start to change things, you start to push it and bring it into this new era with this new type of audience, this new type of storytelling. And you're trying to adapt to this new world of filmmaking and yet keep the nostalgia of the old movies. I mean, there's a careful balance with these filmmakers are trying to accomplish, and but also these filmmakers are trying to make the movie that they love and that they hope the fans love. But ultimately, these filmmakers are making these movies and creating the stories. These authors are creating the stories to the effect of, again, like you said, kind of what they believe, what they, in the professional, you can say a professional opinion and professional experience would make a great story. And, whether you want to judge its success by its box office, by its reviews, however you want to do that, it's fine. But it still ends up becoming a more personal experience. And so my personal experience is I've loved a lot of the stuff that's been coming out. A lot of people that are hardcore fans are resenting to a lot of this change, and so therefore you're getting a lot of this hate that's that we're seeing online. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, you get it with a lot of franchises. It seems like Star Wars. Oh, I was about to say Star Wars is kind of shied away from that, but the prequels brought a lot of that hate.
Yes.
And it died down. Now the prequels, in my opinion, seem like they're way more accepted than they once were. But now it seems like all that hatred that was in some ways, going towards the prequels is now going towards this Disney era of Star Wars. But again, it's this new era. It's Disney's era of Star Wars. They are bringing in this franchise into this new world, trying to expand on it, and trying to make it, keep it lasting as much as possible. And they're doing that in the way that they know best because it's Disney. They know how to make successful franchises. So they're trying to make Star Wars relevant and keep it alive. And that's, I guess, rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. So too much change. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess. And you bring up a good point. The prequels. This is. So in the last couple of weeks, the big topic is Kelly Marie Tran, right?
Right.
And her character Rose Tico.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how much. What we're talking about, despite what you see or hear online, we're talking about a very small base of people.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe that the positive Star Wars fan don't outnumber the negative fan 10-1.
Right.
At least, if not more. Right. So we're talking about a very small group of people here. Now, again, hateful words, hateful sentiments, they weigh a lot more than positives. A lot of people feed off of negative comments. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they keep reading that kind of stuff, right? It just fuels fire. So, unfortunately, Kelly Marie Tran was a victim of this. As far as, and I heard little reports back in the day not back in the day, at least a few years ago. Daisy Ridley got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and John Boyega.
Got a lot of stuff. But Kelly Marie Tran just had enough of it and kind of deleted her Instagram posts. Yeah. She didn't delete her account. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. She deleted the posts so that people can comment and all that stuff. Yeah. Now, again, she got not just look. She didn't get it. It's one thing to say, "Oh, I didn't like Rose as a character," but to attack her personally,
that makes no sense.
To attack her race, her sex. It's like, I mean, how do you even think about something like that? You know what I mean? It's it's not her fault, or it's not her. It's like, because that's the thing too. Is like, you and I both would kill for a role in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would literally kill somebody, and bury them in my backyard to be in Star Wars.
Just hope that doesn't come back up, because I want to keep being in Star Wars movies and not be in jail.
But something like this, it's like, gosh, you take that risk.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to bring up, like you said, is that this is not the first time characters are hated in Star Wars. It's been since Now, we didn't live in the world, I was alive, but I didn't live in the world of the original trilogy when people were talking. But as far as I remember, a lot of people talking is that people hated the droids in the beginning, like 3PO, and hated how way he talked. I think a lot of people liked, the original cast. It didn't really say much about them, but but you get into the prequels, like you said, and obviously the Ewoks.
Yeah,
I mean, Ewoks got even to this day they get destroyed still.
Yeah,
but you get into the prequels. Jar Jar is obviously easily probably the most hated character, right? Yeah. Although I feel like he's getting a pass now these days.
Well, yes.
Versus,
it's now for me. It's to the point where people just either roll their eyes, take a breath, and then move on. It doesn't. Almost like they're just tired of, or just
Well, yeah, enough time has
numb
passed.
To it. Now it's like okay,
just like Hayden.
Yeah.
I mean, Hayden got a lot of grief. Jake Lloyd got a lot of grief as a kid. I mean, a 10-year-old kid. It's like, so this is nothing new. The only thing new is everybody has a phone that they can post now,
right?
And everybody can see it, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that
social media has become this place where everybody could say what they want without any. I
mean, as soon as they think it, put it on there. That's it.
Exactly, and for one, I don't. It's hard to think that these people that post like that even think that maybe they don't even think anybody's going to read it. It's like, I'm going to put this out there just because this is how I'm feeling, and then, but then people do see it, and it gets to the wrong people, and blah blah blah. But so this is nothing new. Hated characters in Star Wars has been from the beginning, and again, the thing that at least you'll never hear from us. You'll never hear us talk about the actual person. That is. I am so proud of Kelly Marie Tran. She landed a lifetime role. It's like forever she is etched in Star Wars. I just hope what I'm seeing too is a lot of people rallying around her, and I hope that continues because she should come to Celebration. She should feel welcome. She should feel loved and engaged, take pictures, sign autographs, do all that stuff. I mean, you've earned it. You beat out all these people to be in this movie, and you're going to be in episode 9, I'm sure. Right? I mean, she's alive. So that's not anything new. To me, that's not anything new. But again, what is new is the medium that's out there now for everybody to see, and again, these celebrities are on social media. I mean, it's like the only way to avoid it is not to be on it. You know what I mean? And some people don't. Some people aren't on it because of that. I don't think Hayden's on social media.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's
surprised,
like it's like why? But why would you? You know what I mean? Like, again, so but then you have people, unlike Kelly Marie and unlike Daisy Ridley, that choose to fire back. So that's the big stint right now too. Is Chuck Wendig, Ryan Johnson, Freddie Prinze Jr. in some instances, firing back at the fans with downright vulgar language as well. And it's like, and to be 100% honest, I don't know where I'm at on that. I don't know where I'm at on that because part of me says they have every right to give it as much as they're taking it because they're taking it probably 100 times worse. But then part of me is don't do anything. Just try to ignore it, and it's easy for me to say because I don't get that kind of hatred. Right. How hard is it to ignore, So, because you want to read the positive ones too, right? Because you're getting positive ones. Ron Johnson, I'm sure. Look, people loved for all those that hated it. There's so many more that loved The Last Jedi. So he's getting all kinds of praise. But you can't see those without seeing the other ones, right? So I don't know. I don't know where you are with the creators firing back at fans.
I guess it just depends on what they say. I'm never much.
Well,
of a,
Chuck Wendig called them shitty Star Wars
yeah,
fans.
I mean, I'm never much of a vulgar person myself, but I don't like. I'm not upset that they've said those things. I'm not like looking down on them now. Like, oh, you shouldn't have said that, Chuck Wendig and Ryan Johnson. Come on, you're better than that. I'm not. That doesn't bother me that they've said it. I'm just keep thinking like if I were in their shoes, I might be the one to just not say anything. That's probably where I would have stand if I'm just gonna not because I'm like you said, there are probably, I mean, that we're retweeting a lot of them, all the praise, so there's definitely a lot of praise out there, and sometimes you just feel like you might need to be a parent to these fans and just say how it is. Like, listen, what you guys are saying is awful. Kelly's a great person. I made the movie I wanted to make. So say what you want. I'm still very happy with what we did, and we're a huge success. So I don't know, maybe they thought that they were kind of fighting the boys in terms of what they were saying. So they could say whatever they want. It's not going to change my opinion. Those what they've tweeted out does not change my opinion whatsoever. And Freddie Prinze Jr., same way, we're all those guys that sometimes will talk about, being honest. That's fine. They can do that. I'm still very much in love with their work. I'm still a huge fan of their stuff.
Yes.
So it's sad that they have to say those things, or they feel they have to say those things. But I mean, I hope it doesn't get worse. I just hope it doesn't blossom from that, and then they actually do say something that will unfortunately hurt their careers. But it won't happen in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
People have been. It just happened. Like Roseanne was canceled based on what they said. So they just got. If you're in the field and you're like a current producer of this content, like Chuck Wendig and Ryan Johnson, you do need to be very careful what you say, because some of that will bite you in the butt if you go over that line and saying something that could be construed as worse. And their situation, they're kind of just responding and trying to turn a positive light on things. So I don't know, but they need to be careful. But I'm sure they're just fine. So
this then leads into the creators. So the creators getting bashed, and obviously these are Lucasfilm hired creators, right? Yes. Ryan Johnson was hired to write and direct Episode 8. He's now apparently hired to do an original trilogy of movies. Chuck Wendig hired to write Star Wars novels. He did the Aftermath trilogy, which is a fantastic series. Again, there's things about it that I don't like.
Sure.
But overall, it added to the canon, and it was a great lead into the Battle of Jakku.
Yeah, one of the most influential books of the new canon.
Yes. So there's of course, again, rumors swirling around now. Again, could have been started by these people that are against Star Wars, but rumors that possibly Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down in September. Of course, rumors are rumors. Things are floating around that Bob Iger isn't happy with the direction now with Last Jedi kind of underperforming.
I don't know how that is, but
yeah, and then maybe with Solo doing as bad as it is now.
Yeah,
blah blah blah. There's rumors about that. So I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it started with the haters out there, but I will say, in my opinion, that Kathleen Kennedy. Well, part of what people are saying too is that she's not a creative. That's why the Star Wars is doing bad as it is. If you're saying it, if you think it's bad, but because she's not a creative like a Feige or something like that, right? Or something like that, or Jeff Johns or something like that, right? So, I don't know. I get that, but she's not. This is all subjective. It's all based on whether or not you feel like what they're putting out is good material, or if it's not good material. I will say, according to at least the box office,
Right.
it's good material. According to what you see from people talking about Rebels, that was a good series.
Yeah.
The novels, they're pumping out novels like crazy, and they're #1 bestsellers. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know how you judge whether or not she's doing a bad job, actually, because to me, again, there's more fandom, more love of Star Wars than there is the hatred. So, I don't. For one, do you want to? I don't know. Do you feel like there needs to be a more creative person leading? I mean, I don't even think that the creative person should actually be running Lucasfilm. You know what I mean? Like, you should have your CEO that is like running the day-to-day operations and making sure everything's going. Then you have maybe your chief creative officer that's maybe in charge of the. But I don't think she's even doing a lot of that, because you have your VP of development, which I think is Carrie Hart. Not Carrie Hart. Yeah, I think is it Carrie Hart?
Kira Hart?
Yeah, something. Yeah,
Kira, I think Kira.
Kira Hart.
I think it's Kira.
Kira Hart. Yeah.
Kira.
There's Carrie Beck, who is the. I think she was on Rebel. She's on the animation side, but I think she's the VP of Kiri Hart. I think is the VP of development.
Yeah,
and then
Kiri Hart,
and she's also part of Story Group. So it's like, but she's in development. So again, who fully decides? Rian Johnson directs Episode 8. JJ directs. I mean, that's actually not 100% known, because, you know, I saw Leland Shee respond to somebody saying, "Aren't you guys picking the creatives?" Like, look, that stuff's not in our plate. We touch stuff way past all that decision making is done.
Yeah.
So apparently all that stuff. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure Kathleen has a hand in recommending and doing all that, but to say she's fully, I wouldn't bet she's fully the only one. I mean, Lucasfilm has a board of directors, and I'm sure. So there's got to be a bigger process to hiring directors and all that stuff, right? So, I don't know. I wouldn't. For one, I don't fault her for anything right now. I feel like she's taken Star Wars in a very unique direction than George. I mean, actually, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Is it that much? How much different is Star Wars actually with Disney than it is from Lucas?
To me, it's just more resources. I mean, George Lucas. I've been reading the stuff for the past week. You know, where George Lucas talked with Lawrence Kasdan. He's talked with other people about. It was his idea to do a young Solo movie, and like that was one of the things. It's like talking about other
George was
shoot-offs.
actually going to work on that.
Yeah, like there's like George Lucas's idea. Most of it was Clone Wars, and or Clone Wars was his idea, and to bring Maul back to create Ahsoka. So I mean, George Lucas wanted to expand on these stories and have these other characters, these other films, you know, that are exploring different areas and corners of the galaxy, but I just don't think he had the resources to. I mean, his movies' budgets,
because he was fully funding everything.
Exactly, his movies' budgets were still under $200 million. Pretty much, right? I think it was just under that, around there, just under it.
Well, I'll tell you.
I think. But like all this stuff he was doing, I mean, they didn't totally absolve the books yet in terms of making them 100% canon. But he still, you know, Lucasfilm at the time still had an idea of the stories that were being put out with the books. They were still kind of sanctioning, you know, this and that. But
Episode 3's budget was $113
exactly.
million.
I knew it was like close to around 125-ish. I was thinking it was around there. So
fully funded himself.
Exactly. So he did great with what he had. Now what's different is you have, you know, exponentially more resources with Disney. And so Kathleen Kennedy can take George's vision and actually realize it into physical movies and merchandising, everything. Everything you want to do, they can now do it. Because they have all the money to do it, and they have the resources and the creative team to do it. So yeah, I don't know if the direction is necessarily different. It's just more. It's just now it really is all encompassing. You know, that's why I'm risky to put Maul and Solo, but I'm so glad because that just proves that they are connecting everything.
Yes,
without worrying too much about confusing a lot of fans and
referencing
stuff that happened from the shows into the movies. So Saw Gerrera, all this stuff. So yeah, I don't think it's a different approach. It's just a bigger approach.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I got to take that back because I don't, because people questioning, well, there's got too many female heroes.
Oh, come on.
You've had Leia's the ultimate female hero.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've got the Black Stormtrooper. There's never would have been a Black Stormtrooper. How do you know?
Yeah.
A Stormtrooper has never taken their mask off except Finn
Yeah.
in all of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So how do you know? Mm-hmm. There's not a Black Stormtrooper in the 70s, right?
I'm sure there were
Tons
of extras.
As we know, there were women
Yeah.
in the Imperial Navy as well. Mm-hmm. At first people thought it was all just white guys. No, it's not. So it's we're learning. We know now that there's none of everything we kind of were led to believe. We're getting told how it was and how it is. Mm-hmm. And it's not, again, it's not different than what George did. This is, like you said, a lot of, episode 7, we were going to get from George, it sounded like. Han, we were going to get from George. Rebels would have come again from George and Filoni if he would still, you know what I mean? So it's like, we were getting those things, but we were, like you said, we were going to get them a lot slower. Now we're just getting them faster and more frequently.
The live action TV show never happened because of resources.
Because he couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford it.
All that stuff that he wanted to do is happening.
Yes.
Come on, people.
So I will, in lieu of that, I will touch on one thing because one of the things about the Kathleen Kennedy rumor was, so I read somewhere people were arguing about, just look at Disney's stock because of what Kathleen's doing, it's dropping. All I got to say is, I'm kind of a financial guy a little bit. I know how to, I know what it takes to run a business, and I know what it takes.
Good with calculation.
Yeah, good with calculation. There is so much more that goes into a stock price dropping than just a couple bad movies.
It always fluctuates.
Well, it's. I will just simply summarize it in the sense that stocks are driven by investors, and investors look at everything that's happening on a balance sheet. Mm-hmm. Disney owns the world. Okay, they own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they own ABC, they own Pixar. It's any one of those could be doing bad, and it would affect the. And if people are sports people, and a lot of people aren't, just look at what's happening at ESPN. ESPN which is owned by Disney.
Right.
They're not doing well financially. Mm-hmm. That has a lot to do with the stock price going in. So that's all I'm going to say because it has nothing to do with what Kathleen Kennedy's doing. The stock, you can't look at that.
Sure.
But what you can do is look at the box office. I get that. But let's talk about the box office real fast because Solo, in the Disney era, the first Star Wars movie to be released in May under the Disney era, the success that it's had in December is unmatched. And I will go ahead and tell you right now because I just did some numbers while we were sitting here because these numbers don't lie. 4,769,226,260 is how much the 4 movies have made to date. The Star Wars era or Disney Star Wars era. $4.7 billion. That is an average of $1,192,306,565. Almost $1.2 billion per movie. I don't care if Solo right now is under $400 million. On average, they're doing 1.2. If they average $1 billion a movie, they're not going to stop making Star Wars movies. So you can go ahead and say all you want about, we did this to boycott. Yeah, it's not going to happen. One movie not making $1 billion is not going to stop, right?
Right.
So let's just go. I'm just going to look at overall here. the prequels, I went ahead and kind of calculated the prequels total. Now, this is back in the late 90s, early 2000s. In total, they did almost $2.5 billion.
3 films.
3 films. So that's an average of 1 point, or that's so with the original trilogy together, those 6 films have done $4.2 billion. Now, again, this is nothing to do with the re-releases. So no special editions. This doesn't include. This is their initial theatrical runs.
Right.
So altogether, the 10 movies have made $9 billion, $9,031,361,414. I mean, it's a machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is a machine. And again, that doesn't calculate inflation, right? So those are big numbers back then.
Yeah.
Huge numbers. Like we talked about. I mean, episode 3 was made for $113 million. I think it did 500, or it did 900, close to $1 billion itself.
Yeah.
So George, I'll tell you right now, is the overall worldwide for $848 million. Episode 3 made for $113 million. I mean, what kind of profit that? So what I'm getting at is that going back to the Disney era, an average of 1.2 billion. Just for the sake of argument, let's just say that, well, I'm sorry. So let's go back to the total $4.7 billion in total box office right now, worldwide. For the sake of argument, let's just say each of those movies, the 4 movies, each of them spent $250 million a movie.
Yeah.
What's that? $1 billion?
$1
So what's the profit margin right now? So they could
quadrupling.
lose money
Yeah.
on the next whatever movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in this grand scheme of things, Force Awakens set them up for years.
Yeah.
Years. So okay, so I just wanted to bring that up. You know what I'm getting at. I mean, you cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. So a couple things out of this also I wanted to kind of talk about was, some of these things that got brought up to this weekend where I saw that were Lucasfilm isn't listening to the fans.
Right.
Do you think that Lucasfilm even ever listens to fans?
Oh, well, okay.
I mean,
yes and no. I mean, no, they don't because obviously they don't listen 100% just because.
What I mean by that, I mean by they listen to what should be created.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say like Last Jedi itself. Because sometimes this gets on my nerves a little bit with I don't know who makes the decisions necessarily, but I feel like Story Group gets a lot of the brunt of this, but where you think, oh, Luke's going to come in, green lightsaber, he's going to fight everybody, he's going to take them all out because that's Luke Skywalker. He's like the coolest ever, but no, he didn't do that. So they didn't make it necessarily to check off your fanboy wish list. Although you got really cool, awesome moments with Luke in Last Jedi, you didn't get everything. So they don't play 100% to the fans' wishes, but they still make the movie they think is going to be the best. Box office says it was very successful, so they're happy. And I am happy with the movie. Although, deep down, I wish I could have seen this instead. But what I got, I loved, and I'm going to leave it at that because it's not my movie; it's their movie. It's not. I don't have personal possession of this franchise, so like we said in the beginning, who am I to say what they should have done? But ultimately, no, they're not going to listen to fans in terms of this is how the story should be done. They're going to do what they feel professionally is best.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times I think Story Group won't listen to like thinking like Maul and Solo. So now we're thinking, oh gosh, now Maul's going to be in a movie. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Maul's going to be fighting with Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Kenobi movie somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to do it somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll retcon that Rebels episode. It's like, no, like stop setting yourself up like this. It's not going to go that way. Like they may not do a Maul movie. You know, they may put him all the rest.
We
of
might not see him at all ever again.
Yeah. So they may just do the rest of his stories in books or TV shows or whatever. So you're setting yourself up, and you're hoping Lucasfilm's listening to you, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they think is logically best. Now, there was one tweet from John Kasdan, which I thought was a nice tweet, although I don't know how true it is. John Kasdan said, do you want more underworld stories like Solo? Please, like,
yes, I
voice
did see
up
that,
because they're listening. Like, maybe they might be, I don't think they're reading tweets out there, but they definitely, I mean, so to an extent, they're going to listen to fans, but not the whole picture in terms of like, oh, fans don't like Rose anymore. We're just going to kill her off. We're not going to have her in episode 9 now. No, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do think what could possibly happen, and maybe this has happened, is I do believe that creators could see what fans are wanting and develop a story and then pitch it to Lucasfilm and say, hey, what about this? I think this would work. I could see that happening, but I definitely don't see Pablo, Leland, these guys, or even any of the executives at Lucasfilm reading what fans want and crafting something after that. I do not see that at all.
There's 1,000 tweets today about Luke Skywalker not doing enough. We got to change that.
No, and to think that they don't have the next 5 years planned out is kind of naive.
Right.
I mean, they know exactly what they're doing and what they've been doing ever since the story group was created. So, unfortunately, I don't think they shape any of the stories based on what fans want.
Yeah.
I do think that I do believe that they have tried to capitalize on what made Star Wars popular, which was the Civil War, right? A lot of these stories that we've seen has been centered around the original trilogy, with Rogue One, with Solo, with Rebels. Even Episode 7 obviously has been argued with being too similar to the Civil War of A New Hope. It's always good versus evil. I mean, that's the classic story of any medium.
There'll always be adventure. There'll always be that kind of stuff. And just another example that just popped in though was like the Maul Kenobi fight in Rebels. Leading up to that, everybody's thinking like there's going to be an awesome showdown, but it was like a 2-second fight.
Yes.
And Filoni explaining it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But it's just, that's what he wanted to do.
That's right.
He and his team wanted to do, regardless of what we wanted to happen.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Like that's
perfect.
Don't set yourself up for anything. Because like me and Cody and talking at the office, getting so excited, like, oh, they're setting themselves up for this great underworld series of films of all these syndicates fighting, and you can have these crossovers with like Maul and Solo and even Jyn Erso in this time period, and Saw Gerrera. Like all these characters are set up to become this kind of underworld cinematic universe, which sounds awesome, and I really hope they do that. But they very well could not, and we always have to stop ourselves and think like we're getting too excited and too sold on this idea. We got to like take a step back.
So in lieu of that, also it's the if Kathleen, look, let's just say Kathleen does step down. I mean, it's 100% possibility that she could want to go back to producing movies and not want to run a company anymore. That's completely. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it before. I mean, people move in and out of studio jobs all the time. If it does happen or not, I mean, do you think at all, again, rumors out there that Rian Johnson's trilogy is in jeopardy?
I don't see how.
I don't see how either.
No. I mean, I don't see why they would have given it to him in the first place if they were worried about him.
Yeah. No. I mean, the only way that he would not do it again, I think, is creatively. If what he writes and what he presents, and they're like, you know what, this doesn't sound like what we want to do, they could let him go.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, sure.
Just like Trevorrow or the Lord Miller. I mean, it's like they could say, you know what, this isn't. You didn't present anything what we thought you would, but whatever, it could happen. Again, filmmakers get cut all the time. Mm-hmm. That would not mean anything. That is again, it just had nothing to do with fans or people crying about Rian Johnson or anything like that. It would be and I got to believe it would be a completely creative decision, and it happens in the movie world all the time. Mm-hmm. Writers get fired, directors get fired all the time. So if it does happen, it'd be, to me, it'd be directly related to the creative direction. Mm-hmm. The streaming service. We're getting this in the fall of 2019. Live action Jon Favreau series coming. Probably probably an animated series, I guess. I don't know. Maybe some more material, whatever. Streaming service. This is a Disney streaming service, so it's not just Star Wars. It's Disney, Marvel, Pixar. I don't know if they're going to be doing content. I'm sure Marvel's going to be doing content on there.
Yeah.
But Disney streaming service is going to have a ton of stuff, not just Star Wars. Do you think that the streaming service could do? How do I want to say this? Like, do you think it will add? How much of the streaming service will add to the fandom, the machine of Star Wars, if anything? I mean, what do you think the streaming service will do for Star Wars?
I mean, I can't see them having like 1,000 more titles of Star Wars in there. I mean, if anything, I feel like it's going to be like a Marvel where you could ultimately have maybe three Star Wars related shows. So we have this one live action show we know of, and I feel like there's going to be a second animated show. But I think it'll, just like what we've already gotten with the small screen titles, I think it'll just keep building on the mythology and keep building on the characters, and reaching to those new demographics, reaching to those new areas that have kind of been not well tapped just yet. I mean, you'll still get your like Resistance. I'm sure it pretty much be the same demographic as Rebels and Clone Wars, and the live action show. We don't know anything yet, but that could be more of that underworld TV show with a more mature audience. Who knows? Or it could keep the same kind of 10 to 18-year-old kind of range. But I like to think that this platform will start to bring in new audiences, different audiences, kind of from across. Like Forces of Destiny tried to bring some new audiences and that kind of thing. So I hope it expands it. I mean, gosh, I think I don't know, people don't think of me as just such a 100% blind proponent of the studio. Like I just love anything, just with any franchise. I love building mythology. I love building with new stories, different characters, going to different corners that we haven't seen yet. Whether it's if it's Indiana Jones, if it's James Bond, if it's Lord of the Rings and Transform, whatever it is. It's like I just love franchises that build mythology in logical ways and not just half-baked ideas. But so far, I think Star Wars has done that, and I'm so excited to get more stories. And I think the streaming service will provide a lot more material out there. Also, just logistically speaking, I think it's going to take over. I would think take over what any shows that are strictly on Disney XD or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised the new animated show is going to be on cable. Now, I would think it was going to be on streaming service. I just figured
I'm not sure how they're going to separate that.
Yeah,
because I feel like they have to still they have to still release some shows on cable television or satellite because not everybody's going to be paying for this.
Right.
But is the paying service? It's weird. Is it going to be where it's like Netflix, where it's a separate? I don't know if they've said this right. Is it Netflix where it's a separate monthly premium, or is it like the Disney Now app where there's locked content unless you provide a TV provider?
Well, I think
you know what I mean.
Well, we have nothing official. So I'm reading this from just like some interviews, I think, with Bob Iger. But they talked about how they were thinking of having it as a subscription fee, but keeping it starting off kind of lower than like the Netflix and Hulu, so that they can get more subscribers. So I think their idea is they will make it a separate subscription-based platform. I hope it's that. I hope it's not because I would keep thinking like as soon as the streaming service comes out, I might drop my DirecTV Now subscription.
Yeah,
because I'm sure will be watching all of the stuff that's on that Disney Now, Disney app.
And that's where it's going to be a little tricky if if somehow you can't get both.
Yeah.
In one subscription, you know what I mean? Like if you have to pay cable to see Disney shows, XD shows, or you know what I mean. So somehow they have to figure that part out because if I'm paying cable, I should and watching Disney XD, I should either get a discounted rate on the streaming service or I should get it for free if I'm already paying for Disney. You know what I mean?
That's why.
And I get Netflix because there's all these studios are part of it, but this is just Disney. Mm-hmm. So,
I was kind of hoping that everything that's already kind of come out on Disney, so all the movies, all the shows that are already out there on Disney, you can get those on the streaming platform, so that you don't need that cable subscription. If that's the only reason why you're for some reason getting a cable subscription, because that would be smart if they did it that way, because you can include those channels in the streaming service. Yes. Now, because that's kind of one reason why I'm keeping my cable subscription is because it gives me access to Nickelodeon, to Disney, to all these other things. Because I still don't always watch live TV. I have to go back and watch all the shows. So it would be very helpful if I had to go to just the Disney app, pay for only the Disney app to get all the XD shows and all the other shows and for my kid, like all the Disney Junior stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll get more information on that very, very soon.
Yeah. I mean, the streaming service it's going to be popular just because, like you said, Disney. I mean, Disney is a lot bigger. I mean, it's as big as Star Wars, if not big. I mean, it's global. Yeah. That's why Star Wars and Disney makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's just so global, mm-hmm. and it's going to do well. I mean, I feel like the streaming service is going to do well. So, okay, last thing before we kind of close this out, I really want to just again kind of focus on a little bit more on talking about the positive side of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Like we said in the beginning, it's we've been doing this for a while now, and we're going to keep doing this as long as we can. And on this show, especially, you can definitely guarantee you that we will do our best to promote Star Wars. We're going to promote it. We're going to push what's coming. We're going to push what came out. We're going to push our excitement. But you're going to get honest reviews from us. Mm-hmm. You're going to get honest opinions from us. But by no means is if anything we say on here is going to be negatively, directed towards anybody that's associated with the movies, associated with the Lucasfilm. The bottom line is, and I'll speak first about it. I never, growing up, I never thought we would be at where we are now mm-hmm. with Star Wars. Never.
Yeah.
And anybody that thought that is ridiculous because it was an individually owned franchise. Mm-hmm. One person owned it. Lucas owned it. He was the only one. And he had to put his own money in to make this stuff. So you knew you weren't going to get a lot of it. And in fact, when episode 3 came out, everyone thought we were never going to get anything else. Mm-hmm. The story was done. Mm-hmm. The story of Anakin and Darth Vader was done. So the fact that I'm living now, you know, a young man, I feel like 40 years young, I feel like, I mean, we're surrounded by all these incredible stories. Now, you may, again, not agree with them or not like certain things, but the fact that if you fell in love with Star Wars when you were a kid, be it original trilogy, be it prequels like yourself, Casey, it's like the fact that you are getting more Star Wars content to even have a chance to enjoy, to me is worth everything.
Yeah.
Because you can't please everybody, and you can't please me with everything. There's things that I do not like, and there's things that I don't agree with. But in the scheme of things, there's tons of things I love, and there's tons of things I agree with. So, but you know, I hope is everything that I've seen on social media now about rallying behind each other, about, you know, I even just saw before you came over today, Case, is that I just saw another Star Wars podcast tweet out that they got this negative comment on iTunes, a 1-star comment about being boring and, you know, and you know, it's like, and so a couple of other creators I saw rallied and said, look, I'm going to get on there and put a 5-star review. Everybody get on there.
Yeah.
For every bad review, let's give them 5 or 10. You know, if that is true, if people are doing this, then this is how positive fandom in Star Wars lives on, is getting behind each other and rooting for each other, and not, you know, not adding to the fuel and not responding to the fuel. So, fortunately, I guess, you know, again, we've been doing this, you know, we've been talking Star Wars for all these years, and we've kind of, in all honesty, I think, and you'll attest to this too, Casey, I agree with this, I guess. In all honesty, we probably haven't been as active on social media as we probably should be as a show. I mean, we're not constantly replying and posting and all this stuff. You know, it's like we're putting our show out there, and we have a decent amount of people that are, I think, you know, from the comments we get, people listen and they like what we do. But it's like we're not, you know, we're not advertising, we're not putting, you know, and it's just like, we do definitely want to grow, or we've talked about growing and we want to do more, but it's like, you know, we're just doing what we love to do and what we talk about, you know, with Star Wars. But it's like, if anything would help us, I think it is kind of rallying behind all the positive creators out there and the people out there that, so I think, you know, I do want to talk about more of that stuff later on future shows, but, and we have, you know, like, Tim's been on the show from 12 Parsecs, great guy. And I know he's a positive fandom, Star Wars fan. So, you know, it's like, just getting involved with a lot more of those and making sure that continues. If people are saying that, hopefully that keeps going on. So, you know, that's kind of my summary.
That's very well put. Now, going back like you, after episode 3, I figured the only new stuff that we would get for stuff, the only maybe chance that we would get another movie would be an animated movie where you get the voices of the original actors. I thought, like, well, maybe 10 years later we'll get a 3D anime movie. You know, that way you can pull the guys back, you know, the actors back, and, you know, all you need is their voices, and then you can do anything you want.
You still could do that.
You still can. But so that's like, so yeah, so the fact that where we are now, it's like, gosh, it's shattered my expectations, and could not have even suggested, like, if someone asked me, like, what's your ideal world of Star Wars to live in? It's like, I would never even thought, like, oh, movies, books. I just want everything all connected, like, all just keep hitting me with it. Like, I love it. So I'm very excited where we are. I mean, do I wish, like earlier in the show, like, do I wish certain things would go different ways? I mean, do I have my own idea of what a great Star Wars story would be and how I could change certain things to make it what I think would be a better story? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like everybody does. Like, I think, certain things could happen this way that might be better, but I have total utmost faith in the creators that are the caretakers of this franchise. Story Group, I have disagreements personally with things that Story Group does, but they're great at their job, so I want to let them do what they do best.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson, I think his trilogy of movies critically might be better than Last Jedi. I think with him having the absolute freedom to create his own stories and not being held to the path that was set before him.
Correct.
I think he's going to be great at it. And the Game of Thrones guys, Jon Favreau, all these other people that we're being told are going to start creating. That's just on the movie side. On the book side, Chuck Wendig, I want him to do more. We have guys like James Luceno. We have Claudia Gray. We have Timothy Zahn. We have all these people that are creating Charles Soule. All these people that are creating these stories. Man, it's just like, how can it fail? How can these people suddenly start doing bad stories? I don't know.
Yeah.
So utmost faith in Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Kiri Hart, everybody. Keep doing what you're doing. Your path that you're taking it is awesome. So keep doing that. And I'll always be with Dave here, some of the loudest proponents of the direction of Star Wars. So I just hope and pray that this hate does not trickle into Celebration. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say Celebration will be that, the safe space.
I hope.
As a fan, if you're feeling down, try your best to go to at least just one day of Celebration. Just one. I think it's like $35 for one of the days. I can't remember which.
I think it's 75 though.
75 for the. I thought it was is there like a difference?
Well, 55 is the Thursday,
and
then every day is 75.
Anything. If you can go one day, go one day because your fandom will be recharged.
You are correct, and it's a good point because as of all the celebrations that I've been to, not 1 ounce of hatred,
right,
or even negativity.
Yeah.
It is the ultimate celebration, literally, for Star Wars, surrounded by the fans, people just like you, that love it and just enjoy it and. Again, don't agree on everything, but it is a place to celebrate Star Wars. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say, and I meant to say this earlier, so I don't really hope this doesn't come off as a negative, but with like I said before, with a lot of people kind of bringing society's issues into Star Wars with racism and sexism and just downright hatred. It's like, I of course we will never talk like that or be like that. And I'm telling you, and I truthfully believe this. I am not racist at all. I mean, I'm half Asian, so I kind of get what Kelly. I grew up with people saying things to me like Kelly Marie Tran, so. Definitely not as harsh. I never heard anything like that, but I got teased a lot. So I look at everybody. To me, I look at everybody as human first, and I hope, and I believe Casey is the same way. So to me, stuff like that never enters my mind. The fact that the lead in Episode 7 is a woman, the fact that Finn is a black stormtrooper. I don't see it like that, and I never will. But I get that there's people that do, and but what's funny is that we need to it's almost like you almost need to take a page out of Star Wars, because if you think about it, there's no race in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no racism. It's all these different forms of races and aliens and genders and all this stuff, and it's like they are who they are. You know what I mean? It's so I wish we looked at each other like that. I wish that, and maybe maybe it would take finding an alien race to actually bond us together as humans. You know, to be one human race. Yeah, and then there's you know what I mean? Yeah. It almost seems like that has to happen. Or you know, it's sad that we still look at each other like that. You know, but but again, you'll never hear that from us on here. You'll never hear us complain about someone's race, someone's gender, someone's color, anything. I mean, it's a celebration of these stories that are being told, regardless of who's in it or what's in it. So I don't know. I'll always encourage that, even as we live in our regular lives, you know, because you have a choice. I mean, you regardless of what's happening in the world, you may not agree with the president. You may not agree with your politicians. You may not agree with celebrities, what they're doing, what they're saying. But you have a choice of what you're saying and what you're doing, right? So to blame, like what I've read, is like to blame what's happening in the world. That's what's kind of feeding into Star Wars. It's like, no, everybody has to take account for what they say, and they don't have to say it. you like you said earlier, it's like you're the one pressing the send button. No matter what's happening or how you feel in your life, it's like to take what you're feeling and to take it out on somebody, you know, so direct and so with so much hatred. Is like there's no excuse. Period for it. No excuse. Period for it. So, I don't know. It's just it's all good here. It's all good here. You know, we will again continue to keep pushing positive Star Wars. So with that, this month we want to keep talking about our love for Star Wars. We're going to bring on some guests here over the next couple weeks. We're going to hit on the things that we love about Star Wars. So the next 3 weeks, we will bring, of course, topics that come up throughout the news and everything that's happening with Lucasfilm and Star Wars, but we do want to center on kind of all the stuff that we love about it. So we're going to keep spreading the love. Yeah. But like a lot of shows out there, we wanted to kind of just contribute this a little bit, feed the love and the positivity of Star Wars. Like Casey said, you know, that feeling, it's this. I think this is a good analogy. The feeling that we have those 3 or 4 days at Celebration, right? That's what we kind of want the show to be about. Yeah. We're trying to bring celebration into our weekly show because it's an incredible feeling going there and seeing all that love and all that passion, and that's exactly what I feel like we have for this, and we'll just keep marching on. So we appreciate really everybody out there that listens to us, and you know, if you haven't already, give us a comment and give us a review on iTunes and spread the love that we're trying to do on the show. And I do want to mention other shows. I'll get a list together, and I do want to mention other shows that are kind of talking about this and spreading the word to. One right now, I'd say. I actually was pretty sporadic about listening to Full of Sith, but I've actually become more of a regular, and you know they're really good. Brian Young, who kind of leads that, is really, really good. So that's a show right now that's out there. It's a very positive show. It's a good show to listen to. Brian's been writing for StarWars.com for years, and there's just they get great guests and all there, and you know they have great access. And but again, they're a podcast like us, so they're not Lucasfilm sanctioned in a way, but they've been around for I think almost as long as we have. So you know, go check them out, give them a review, as well as give us a review. So we'll keep giving reviews. Yep. So all right, we're at InsideTheForce.com. Go there, subscribe in the comments and give us a subscribe on Google, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, wherever you can find podcasts. Of course, InsideTheForce.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Inside the Force. Thanks, everybody. You guys are awesome. We will be back next week to spread more Star Wars love. For Casey Cooley.
You can't stop change any more than you can stop the suns from setting.
Very good.
Relevant. Shmi Skywalker, always full of wisdom.
Skywalker.
Shmi.
Yeah. I'm actually, you know what? I've been watching a lot of Clone Wars lately. We talked about it, kind of rewatching them, and it's funny how I feel like when they aired, you know, when it started airing, 2008, 2009 or something like that, I think.
Yeah,
7, 8.
Maybe a little early, yeah.
I haven't gone back and rewatched them, right? I'd seen them first run. And
Right.
I've seen a couple of Mortis. I've watched a couple times, Gathering and stuff like that. But now I'm watching them in chronological order now.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, like I went from like 203 to 216, 17, 18, and then back to 2. It's weird. So anyway, I'm doing it. It's making sense.
Yeah.
But I'm about finished with season 2 where Boba Fett's come back, and which is fantastic. But anyway, now that I have all this other knowledge, it makes it so much better, man. It makes it so much better. It's a great series. Clone Wars, I think we talked about it. I rank it more than better than Rebels.
Yeah, probably.
It's a really good series. I actually tweeted to Leland and Matt Martin. I said, "Yeah, I'm rewatching Clone Wars. Got to know. You don't have to give anything away. Just tell me yes or no. Are there plans for more Clone Wars stuff?" And of course, he said, "Unfortunately, even with a yes and no, I can't say."
Yeah.
So I hope we get more Clone Wars. I really do.
That makes sense. They can't, because even if they probably haven't thought of anything, so therefore they can't say no.
Yes.
It's like, it's just shelved for right now.
Yes.
So
I guess
we don't know.
I mean, either books or
Yeah.
comics is where I think they need to go. I think there need to be more comics because you can see the fighting and the illustrations. But I don't know. Hopefully we get more. But I had a story. Did I have a point to that? Oh no, yeah. But my point is watching that. I actually want to go. I actually want to pop in like episode 2 again.
Yeah.
And watch the beginning, even though that's bottom of my ranking list of movies. But it's like I want to watch it again just to see the start of the Clone Wars. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Check you guys out next week. He's Kryptonian113 on Twitter. I'm DCuttingham21 on Twitter. Thanks, everybody, for listening. For Casey.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave. May the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to Inside the Force, a Star Wars podcast hosted by David Cottingham and Casey Cooley. For more shows, additional content, articles, and the latest Star Wars news, please visit InsideTheForce.com. Inside the Force. For the Force, then all of us.